I sometimes hear that Sweden is a socialist country, or that the economists in the Scandinavian countries are more special because they combined the best of capitalism and socialism. And one common idea is that Sweden's state is neutral and that the state's task is to benefit the working class. And it's also often said that Swedish politicians are much kinder and that they want the best for the workers. But does socialism in Scandinavian countries exist? And does this so-called democratic socialism work? During the post-war period, there were a huge expansion of economy. This means that the capitalist profits increased faster than the cost of workers' demands. And they can grant reforms to the workers because of the high profit they were making. But this ended in the 1973 crisis, which decreased a global demand. The Swedish capitalists had to find another way to maintain their profits. They did this by increasing the rate of exploitation. Behind slogans of flexibility and deregulation, they began to squeeze out more of the worker, drive down the wages and attack the employment conditions. As a consequence, the welfare state built during the post-war era has declined since 1970s and especially in the 1990s. In fact, out of all OECD countries, class divisions are increasing fastest in Sweden. The richest people in Sweden, Ingvar Kamprad and Stefan Persson, CEOs of IKEA and H&M, own more wealth than the half of Swedish population combined. In Sweden, my generation are the first generation since the war that are worse off than their parents. And during the 90s and beyond, the Social Democratic government made cuts of 160 billion kroners. And this followed by this right-wing government making cuts of 130 billion every year between 2006 and 2014. And between 1990s and 2015, 300,000 jobs were lost in the public sector. At the same time, there has been widespread privatization in the public sector, and despite the fact that we often hear of scandals in private schools and in care homes caused by the chasing of profits. In the labour market, competition for work means that wages are being driven down and increasing of numbers are forced into insecure employment. The point is that, despite past reforms, the Swedish economy is still owned and run by the capitalist class. This means that the logic of capitalism will assert itself, leading to cuts for the workers in time of the economic crisis. This is not just the case in Sweden, but in the Nordic countries as a whole. The Nordic model is not a kinder version of capitalism. There can be no such things when capitalism is in crisis. The only way forward is a fundamental break with the capitalist system through a socialist revolution.